We at Apex Online Racing would like to give a particular dedication and condolences to the friends, family and team of Martin Solari, who sadly lost his battle with cancer. He was a member of the Williams GM Esports team. Our thoughts are with you and your friends and family, etc. It's never something that we in the esports team like to, in the esports world, like to see. We at Apex Online Racing are thinking of you all.
Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. This is the Apex Online Racing iRacing GTE League, Season number 9, Round 2, here at the Nürburgring. My name is King-Kodiak and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box, I'm happy to say, is the one and only Apex, otherwise known as James Clay.
Hi everyone, it's really good to be back here once again. Second race of the season now for me, second race in the commentary box, and looking forward to this one, especially now we can actually see the cars this week, unlike last week if you tuned in. So, should be good.
Was a little dark. Let's see who we've got then, as we are now underway for qualifying. Let's see who we've got representing our AMs. I couldn't see that last week. I was alerted to the fact that the particular Bear With Us skin was a little bit colourful, as sported by the number 382 Ferrari of Stefan Kamke. Like it. Treble 3 is the Hyperion Racing and Neon Yellow Ferrari of Daniel Lindholt. Oh, that's a Pro-Am. Beg your pardon. See the 318 Ferrari Hyperion Racing Blood Orange of Kern Van Eyck. 376, the Team Tepper Am Ferrari of Philip Schiff. 307, our graphics guard, the PCDC Motorsports BMW of Nick Domino. 394 is the Hyperion Smurfs Racing Porsche of Nikolai Landman. 375, the Hyperion Bavarian Racing BMW of Jamie Smith. 396, the Esports Slow Racing Porsche of Martin Kodeman. 347 is the Brittech SimSport BMW of Stephen Norman. 391 is the Hyperion Smurfs Racing Porsche of Michael Toman. 302 is the Raptor Racing Green BMW of Michael can't get this right, Moriani. 372, another Raptor Racing, it's the BMW Raptor Racing Team Red of Luca Laudato. We didn't see you last week, welcome to you. 309, the Privateer BMW of James Boniface. 366, the also bear with us, Ferrari of Merlin Cooper. 390 is the Hyperion Bavarian Racing BMW of Jesse Voritsky. I've forgotten how to pronounce it again, I'm terribly sorry. 322, the Privateer Entrant Porsche of Matthias Salo Christensen. Quite a heavy AM showing this week, which is good to see.
I mean, it's nice to see that we do have, I think, almost a full grid. I think we're quite full, so we see a lot of cars out on track. So we should end up with some quite a big train of racing around here.
Now, hopefully we won't have the same kind of technical difficulty that we had last week, for which I still apologise for, but can't go back and redo that one. So we should be all good. Done some testing, done some tweaking. It's as good as I think as I'm going to get it. So no one has got a time on the board just yet. There's Stefan Kamke coming around the final turn. Turn number 16. Is he going to be one of the first to get a time on the board? Following through. What does he... Or most people have at least done their outlap. And that's a 1:49.816 for Stefan Kamke. Immediately usurped by Daniel Lindholt, who's immediately usurped by Martin Kodeman and Jamie Smith.
Smith looking handy, 7/10 ahead of Kodeman, which is the gap between P1 and P2 at the moment.
That's quite a big gap.
I think he was about to come across the line, I would say, because he was very quick in practice.
I'm having some technical issues again, much to my annoyance. Hopefully that will sort itself out. Nick Domino into third with a 48.7. Who's Luca Laudato is over the line with a 1:49.786. Raptor Team Racing BMW. Nikolai Landman currently in ninth with a 51.1. Stefan Kamke's 49.8 was not a valid time, so yet to get a position. He would be around about 5th or 6th in class at the moment. Oh, and that's disappeared. Don't know why that did that. That might be why I'm struggling a little bit. I'm having little stutters again, which I thought I'd resolved, much to my annoyance. I don't know why that's happening. Hopefully that will sort itself out. Just going to see Stephen Norman yet to get a time on the board, along with Mikhail Toman, Michael Moriani, James Boniface, Merlin Cooper, and Matteo Tyler Christensen. Oh, that was someone parked on the side of the road. Not sure who that was. A few new names from last week. What can we expect from Nürburgring? What's your thoughts on the GP track?
It's a very polarizing track from what I've heard across paddock this week. A lot of drivers liking it, but also a lot of drivers really disliking it this week. I would definitely say that this is a track for the BMW driver and the Ferrari driver, as can be seen across probably the entire season with the amount of BMW and Ferrari drivers we've got. But it's definitely a track that starts to suit those drivers a bit more. We should see a stronger showing from the Porsches than we did last time out at Imola, because a lot of the medium speed corners around this track should try and benefit that car. This might also be probably the weaker of the show. Well, some of the weaker of the showings for the Ford drivers out there, but the Ford does have the advantage that in this very long 80-minute race that the tyres should benefit it, because it has the lowest tyre wear compared to the likes of the Porsche and Ferrari, who have quite substantially more, especially considering the fact that the race is a bit later in the day than what we currently have qualifying in, so the temperatures will go up, meaning that tyre degradation will also go up. And so I think it could end up becoming quite a race of many parts, with Ferraris and maybe BMWs being quite quick at the beginning, and certain other cars maybe catching them up and overtaking them towards the end of the race.
Ooh, nice. Cohen van Eyck is our current AM pole man with a 47.8. He's found a few more tenths. Steve Norman coming through the Dunlop curve, turn 8. Merlin Cooper yet to go to time on the board. He's at the same point. Matteo Tyler Christensen has not set a time. You can see the Pro-Ams.
Cohen van Eyck just spun it in the final corner. I think that was an outlap though, which is not going to help his qualifying at all.
Oh, yeah, that's done that one in. He did indeed spin that one. Jamie Smith is out there going through the final turn himself. Can he improve? On the 48.234, he's gone on the board. Let's see. He does not. 49.5 last time around. Nick Domino, 4th in class. Where is he? He's coming up to... Steady. That's the Schumacher S. He's just gone through. He caught the first part of the Schumacher S very, very hard, but did manage to stabilise the car before coming through turn 11. And now to Bilstein. Oh, he's pushed that very hard. The tail is stepping on him very much so in the BMW. As he continues to press on through turn 13 down towards the Vidal chicane. So he's still pushing on though, so whether he's lost any time or not, he is still looking to get on with it. And the Pro-Ams are now released onto track, so we will run through our Pro-Am contingent shortly once all of our AMs are done and dusted. Mikhail Toman is going to 8th with a 49.4. What does Nick get on the board? It is a 48.7. So once again, kind of almost repeating his P4 time. Luca is now being chased along the road by the Pro-Ams. I would imagine he must have started his lap too late if the Pro-Ams are that close to him. So he needs to get out of the way, really. Stefan Kamke. Where is he? He's coming down to turn 13, I think. He must be one of our last AMs to go. Merlin Cooper's still out there as well. Matthias Hassan Christensen has already returned to the pits. Right, let's have a run through our Pro-Ams, our biggest contingent in this league. Car number 254, the Team Tepper Ram Ranch Racing Ford of Craig Dancy. 288, Martin Nadelik. I'm still not getting that quite correct. In the Conrad Tepper Ferrari. 252, Alfie Lawrenson in the Team Tepper Varsin BMW. 274 is the VZ Sim Racing Cyan Ferrari of Sebastian Riethmuller. 217 is the Big Bone Racing Ferrari of Jack Anderek. 216, the Team Tepper Space Rangers, nice, BMW of Corn de Creek. 232 is the Team Tepper Space Rangers Ferrari of Tom Hooper, who's just caught up with a lot of traffic now. 203, the Venom Motorsports BMW of John Hallowell. 246, the Esports Slow Racing Porsche of Sasso Prosen. 297 is the PCDC Motorsports Ford of Florin Densler. We didn't see you last week, so welcome to you. 226 is the Conrad Tepper Porsche of Alex Schmidt. 293, the Grinning Ford. He's had a grin on his car for the last few seasons and is back on the Ford this time. It is car number 293 for Hyperion Racing Ecto 1. 227 is the VSR BMW of Jake Sanders. 245 is the Raptor Racing Team Orange Ferrari of Stephen Brumfield. 200 is the AOR, Team AOR Ford of Sarah Dove. That's Merlin Cooper. And 257 is the VEC Sim Racing Rouge Ferrari of Alexander Godefroy. That's our Pro-Am contingent. A few new names in there. Is anyone you recognise?
Of the new names that we didn't see last week, I don't really see that many. I mean, we've had some returning from last season that missed the first round. People like Craig Dancy, who was very quick towards the end of last season, I seem to remember. And I think some drivers such as Alfie Lawrenson, who was caught up in the start incident that we had in Imola, so we didn't really see much of a showing from them actually in the race. And I think that's the thing that we need to look out for today, is that those 10 or so drivers that were involved that didn't really get to have a race in Imola, we need to see where they sort of stack up at Nürburgring today. Yes, should be good to see. It was quite a major incident going on there. I haven't actually been told of any penalties, so we will see. I haven't been told of anyone having to do a pit lane start or any kind of. We have one penalty, not for that incident. I believe that Philip Schiff has a drive-through penalty. Aha. Okey-dokey. But that was for a incident off the start line. Okay. John Hallowell's the first to get a time on the board for the Pro-Ams of a 47.9. That's been superseded by Martin Nadelik. Still behind Cohen Van Eyck's impressive 47.813. So still the 10th to find for our Pro-Ams. Craig Dancy is slotted into 5th overall, 4th in class. Nicely done. Alex Smith's got a time on the board. 48.4. 48.3 for Florian Densler. He's chasing one of the Raptor BMWs. Oops! Who's just binned it. Rather dramatically. Well done. Who has got time on the board? Alfred Lawrenson slots into 9th. Riethmuller into 12th. Sarah Dove into 13th, who's just returned to the pits. That was someone parked on the apex of turn 2. Chris Yardley in the Ford in 14th. Moriani is in the AMS, so ignore that. Victor Matios. Did I read his name out? I may have missed his name whilst going through everybody. Car number 204, the Hyperion Racing Ecto 1 Ford of Victor Matios. Oh, I missed your name as well, sir. So I go through the list, and if they set a time, they jump to the top of the list. That's why I missed them. It's the 270 Raptor Racing Team Green BMW of Alejandro Portacovi. Nadelik. I think I mentioned him earlier. Jake Sanders has got a time on the board.
There he is in the VSR BMW. That's Martin getting out of the way. Nicely done. Who hasn't got a time on the board yet? Broomfield.
Sasso Prosen doesn't appear to have a time on the board. I don't know where he's on track. He doesn't appear to be out on track, in fact.
No, Sasso Prosen is indeed not on track. Someone else that hasn't appeared on track either is Paolo Martins in the 299 car. He hasn't appeared.
He is not even in the session.
Oh, well, he's been in the session at some point. So I've got him on my list, but he's had technical trouble and dropped again. New Pro-Am pole is John Halliwell, 147.933. He's gained... He's 3 thousandths ahead of Nadeleek. I know I'm not getting that name right. It's something like Nadeleek, but I can't say it quick enough like that. But as is normal in the GTE League, we're seeing some really close times in between each car. So it's a tenth between Van Eyck and Halliwell. There's 3 thousandths, 41 thousandths, 85 thousandths, 1.5 tenths, 3 thousandths, 13 thousandths, 10 thousandths in between each car. So you need to go down to 17th, Sarah Dove, to get a second from the current pole time, which is still pole time of Koen Van Eyck. So yeah, that's quite an amazing feat once again. Who should we have a look at? That's a name I missed as well. Smallbone Racing, the 269 BMW of Isaac Morris, has yet to get a time on the board.
Interesting to look out for some of those people that have set very quick times, because now we're on the second run, the track will be rubbered in a bit more. Drivers will probably maybe be on a lower fuel run than they were before as well. So
do the pros have a bit of an advantage then with a bit more rubber down, or is it not a huge amount of difference?
It will make a slight difference, but in this session, because we've started before the sun is in the height of the sky at this track, it means that the pros will have the disadvantage of the track getting warmer as the session goes on, but they will get the advantage of having more rubber laid down. But certain tracks later in the season, we might have the opposite effect, where we start off quite hot in the session, and the session gets colder as time goes on, giving the pros more of an advantage when they come out on track.
Interesting. So I'm adjusting a few things. I am listening to what you're saying. That sounded very dispassionate from me then. I didn't need it to sound so.
What is interesting is that Halliwell is in the pits, so he doesn't look like he'll be setting another lap time.
Craig Dancy's just crossing the line and does not improve. And that is the end of the Pro-Am qualifying segment. So anybody out on track at the moment is allowed to finish their time, and that's Godefroy coming back into the pits. So Koen Van Eyck out-qualified the entirety of the Pro-Am contingent. That's an absolutely stunning effort. Nadeleek is on a lap. Florian Densler, he's about to come over the line, so let's see him through. The pros are now released, so we will have a look at our pro contingent. Again, a very healthy showing of those. Yeah, Paolo Martins and Sasso Prosen, no times for them, but we think that Paolo is not in the session. Does Densler improve? He does no. Well, he's in 6th. Didn't quite see if he improved in position or not.
Martin made a mistake in the hairpin at the bottom of the track. He went gravel on exit, which means his lap will have been invalidated, and he's returned to the pit. So I think that time of Koen Van Eyck might be safe from all of the Pro-Am drivers.
Wow. Alex Smith's just going around the final turn. We'll see him go through his lap, and then we'll have a look at our pro contingent for the remaining 7 minutes of the session, and that is... Oh, it's an improvement from Alex. That's up to 7th with a 48.229. Excellent effort. Right, let's have a look at our pros then. Number 121, the Team Tepper Ford of Rainer Talvar. Treble 1, the Comrade Gaming BMW of Alex Bennett. 119, the Privateer BMW of Blair Mann. 109, the Comrade Gaming BMW of Christoph Holstein. 168 is the Team Tepper Ford of James Pinsker. 186, the VEC Sim Racing Magenta Porsche of Sylvian Moraine. That's an AM, beg your pardon. 124 is the Team Tepper Ram Ranch BMW of Stephen Norman. 148 is the Team Tepper Varsin Ford of Kian White. 185 is the Tag Racing UK Ferrari of Andy Gorton. 173 is the Venom Motorsports Ferrari of Michael Edens. 184, we see the return of the Glacier Racing BMW of Einar Marinsky, who was one of the quickest people in the practice and has previously been a very front runner in this season. That's man and keeper. 101 is the Radicals Online Simmortal BMW of Ross Woodford. And finally, 120 is the Team AOR Ferrari of Knut Martinsen. Who are we going to keep an eye on this week? We'll run through the results of last week's race in the gridding phase. Again, I am aware there was a little bit of stutter going on the stream. I can't resolve that, unfortunately. It is my rig is being stressed enough. So it is intermittent. I don't entirely know what's causing it. I can only apologise for it, but we will do our best with what we have got. A fair representation from our pros this week.
Indeed. I mean, we do have a very large pro-am field by the looks of things out of all three of the cap. I think it's very evenly then spaced behind that between the amount that we have in the pro field and in the am field, which, I mean, they're still very large classes. I mean, we're talking 15 plus drivers in a lot of them anyway. So it should provide a lot of racing, especially up at the front. I expect there to be quite a big fight at the front this race, especially from times in practice and throughout the week that I've seen from people. So I think there's a lot to look forward to.
We can, but I think Rainer Talvar is about to set his first time. Let's have a hot lap on board the 121 Team Tepperford. And he is indeed, and we're seeing now the pole time being broken. Talvar, Holstein, Bennett getting into the 147.2s. Into turn one then for Talvar. Quick squirt of the throttle as we come up the hill for turn two, then straight back down. He's pulled over, so well, there went that idea. Pinsker is now our pole man with a 47.238. So in between, you have to go down to Antti Gorton, who's just jumped into fifth. Then Kian White sixth. Oh, another pole man. It's Einar Marinsky. The Glacier. Never mind. It's Ross Woodford. it's changing as quickly as I can read it. 147.044. My goodness me, Ross. What a stunning time. He rears the number one for a reason. Didn't have such a hot race last week in Illa, but oh wow, is he meaning business. And nearly by a full tenth of a second. Now that sounds almost derogatory, but considering how close each car is between each competitor, a tenth is actually a significant gap.
I mean, it's quite incredible how we have between Pinsker and Talvar, we've got about half a tenth of a second, but then in front of them you've got a tenth to Marinsky, and then you've got another tenth to Woodford. So at the moment they are clearly the people to beat at least during qualifying and probably at the start of the race.
And it's taken, and again, just to highlight how well Cohen van Eyck has done, it's taken for the pros to knock him off the top spot. Now, that really can't be understated. He was still over a tenth quicker than John Halliwell. John Halliwell's in fairness, all of these drivers are stonkingly quick. There's no getting away from that. They are
Definitely.
very fast.
I'm not a GTE main driver, and at the moment I'm trying to learn how to drive these cars, and I am just not at the level of these guys. Even most of the AM field are probably quicker than me as well. So it's a very hard car to jump into, but it's also, they do such a good job, these drivers, to put on such close racing and also just to be so quick in these cars.
Is there a particular car you favour?
Annoyingly, the one that I think favours my driving style the most is the Porsche, which is annoying because it's probably the slowest of the four cars. I have to say, looks-wise, I really like the look of the Ford, but it's also arguably the hardest car, GT to get into. So if anyone out there is looking to get into GT racing, I would definitely not recommend that you try and start with the Ford. It is incredibly difficult to get to grips with. Probably the easiest ones to get to grip with are the BMW and the Ferrari. They're very nice to drive. Especially the Ferrari is very nice over curbs and very nice on the brakes. So that's my advice to anyone out there who wants to start getting into these races. Whereas for me, it's very hard because I'm just always tempted to get back in my prototype and just drive around the GTE cars.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't bring the Corvette to this category.
Maybe one day. I think they're bringing out Chevrolet are bringing a new Corvette soon, so maybe one day we'll get that in iRacing.
Funnily enough, I was actually chatting to our graphics god Nick Domino yesterday in the hope of trying to iron out my technical troubles I had last week. And we were talking about the C7 prototype, which of course isn't a GTE car, but oh, that thing sounds amazing. It's funny you say the Ford is a good looker, but it's not a good sounder. I'm not a fan of the engine note of the Ford.
If I could have the engine note from the Porsche and the body of the Ford, that would be my favourite out of all of this.
The perfect car is
That's
found.
an interesting thing from Woodford. Woodford's pulled over on his lap. 6 seconds to go, so he's not going to set another lap time.
No, Pinska's crossed the line. Eno Marinsky's been back in the pits for about a minute now, so he will not improve. Checkered flag is out, so it is do or die now or never for our drivers. Who is still out there? Most of the pros are still out there. Let's see who's not running now. Knut Martinsen is back in the pits and actually smacking into the pit wall. Edens has pulled over. A 148.0, only 14th for Michael Edens. Oh dear. So we've got about half a dozen pros still out there. Blair Mann from 9th position has just come back into the pits. A lot of invalid laps last time around, strangely. So unless that's just people maybe shortcutting to try and deal with their outlap a bit quicker, I don't know.
It's an interesting track because there are some tracks on iRacing where the invalidations are very, very inconsistent. Nürburgring is a very consistent track, but it's very harsh. You can't stray very far away from the white lines before you get the off track that invalidates your lap around here.
That makes sense. So Andy Gorton in 4th position now with that 147.244. We just saw him pulling over. Just 3 cars out on track. Then Pinska in the Ford for Team Tepper. Bennett and Holstein in the Comrade Gaming BMWs. So actually the Comrade pair are pretty close to the end. On the nose of Alex Bennett. We didn't get a hot lap done in the end because I was already on board with Talva, who opted not to complete the lap. Let's see what Holstein does. That's a 47.1 on the board. That's up to 2nd. Bennett, a 47.3, does not improve. Let's see what Pinska can get on the board. He's about to cross the line. And that is a 47.1 for him as well. And that is 2nd for James Pinska. Whoa, that is so close. Unbelievably close. Between
Marinsky, Holstein and Pinska, my goodness.
Unbelievable times, and there it is. So your grid for this evening is Ross Woodford and James Pinska on the front row. Radicals and Team Tepper on the front. Nicely done. Then it is Holstein, Marinsky, Gorton, Bennett, Talval, Kean White, Blair Mann, Cohen Van Eyck. What a cracking effort there. Just 7/10 off of the pro pole time and leading the entire Pro-Ams in the AM category as well. Absolutely stunning stuff there. John Halliwell, our Pro-Am leader. Again, an excellent effort there as well. Then Nadelic, Sanders, Edens, Dancy, Densler, Moraine, Schmidt, Lawrenson, Smith, Hooper, Creek, Anderek, Van Putten, Yardley, Godefroy, Martinson, Morris, Kodeman, Domino, Riethmuller, Dove, Matios, Linholt, Moriani. Why am I struggling with his name? I really don't know. Brumfield, Boniface, Toman, Voracek, Laudato, Schiff, Kamke, Pontecorvi, Landman, Prosen, Martins, Cooper, Norman, Christensen. So there is our 49 car grid. Unfortunately, it does. Did Para Martins return? Do you know?
I don't think he did in the end. No, he did not.
Shame.
I saw that there was someone in the iRacing chat talking about having troubles connecting, so it might have been him that was having the issues.
So let's have a look at the AM standings at the moment. Philip Schiff was our AM winner last time out. Kamke 2, Smith 3, Christensen 4, Boniface 5, Kodeman 6, Stephen Norman 7, Lamman 8, Toman 9, and Mamano, who's not with us this time, rounds out the top 10 for the AMs. And Laudato, Henstra. Well, these are our 0-pointers. Thrain's not with us, so quite a few of these names aren't here. But that is our AM category. Let's have a look at our Pro-Ams. Nadelic was the Pro-Am of the last time around, chased home by Creek and Morris in the top 3. Then Anderek, Halliwell, Schmidt, Lawrenson, Godefroy, Brumfield, and Rano Luke's not here today. And then further down, Riethmuller, Matios, Sanders, Sluman. I think Marvin Sluman's not with us. Dancy, Hooper, Paolo Martins has had trouble. Alder Pole we haven't seen. Vinyl we haven't seen. And Densler has now joined us for this evening. And in our pros, it is Talvar who's on the top spot, but certainly not in qualifying. Woodford had an amazing run through to come up into second. Holstein, Bennett, Van Putten, Pinsker, Moraine, Edens, Martinson, and Yayen. Isaac Yayen has actually pulled out of this league due to what we were talking about this morning at the beginning of the broadcast, and I really hope that's what is going on here. I'm having flickering of the cars. Let's hope that is not going to continue. Right. Oh, looks like Pinsker hasn't taken to the grid. Oh yes, he has. He just took a very long time to do so.
Yeah, he was cutting it close, to say the least.
Just a tad. Right then, underway. And now if I start to flicker again, I will make the same kind of adjustments I did last time, and it does look like I'm having flickering again, which is very annoying because I thought we'd solve this. I did do some testing, believe it or not. Well, we'll give it a few minutes and see if it resolves. I don't want to completely miss the start, which is where things usually go completely bonkers. Right then. Around the final turn, then it's up to Woodford to floor it. Signify the beginning of the race, and yes, lots of flickering again. That's very frustrating.
That on my end as well.
You're getting it as well.
Yeah.
Oh my, oh my.
So I think that might be just an iRacing issue.
Oh, well, which I definitely can't resolve it. If it's an iRacing problem, it's certainly not something I can resolve. Hopefully, it sorts itself out. Haven't seen any major problems yet, as the numbers start to sort themselves out. Have you noticed any major problems?
I think it's starting to go alright, but there's not been any incidents apart from the fact that Holstein has gone up into
second
P3
position
ahead of Pinsker. P2 even, yes, ahead of Pinsker.
Well, I am going to try and reduce the numbers of cars I'm looking at, which is going to mean that I am going to have to do that for a moment whilst I do so. So give us a bit of a radio commentary, if you would.
I will indeed. Everyone seems to be Linus Stern at the moment, going down towards the hairpin. As I say that, Tom Hooper's looking to go around the outside of Alex Schmidt, but Schmidt has the inside line into the long, almost banked hairpin. Behind them, we have quite a lot of side-by-side action in the Pro-Am field. Arjen Van Putten was trying to go down the inside of Sylvie Moraine into the Schumacher S, which is quite a brave move. Behind them is Jamie Smith and Jack Anderek going onto the back straight now. Anderek looking to go around the outside of Van Putten as there is a car going down the inside of a Hyperion going onto the back straight.
Okay, that should now hopefully have sorted that out. That's annoying because I did have better than that when I was testing it, but never mind, I can't really do much more about it. Go on.
There is a Ferrari off at the exit of the chicane. That was Cohen Van Eyck.
Oh no!
Yeah, but thankfully for him, that doesn't really affect him too much because he's not fighting the people around him. All it will really mean is that he will have had an off-track penalty, so it'll just have a few less points. But to be honest, at a track like this, I don't expect many people to be getting the 0x points anyway.
Well, it does mean I'm going to really struggle to keep an eye on the tail end of the field. I do try and keep an eye on everybody, but as you just saw, that was really not going to happen. So,
important move by Andy Gorton, by the way. He's gone around the outside of Alex Bennett, going through turn 3.
Let's have a look at that if we can. Oh, there he is. Yeah, that move started up at turn 2. And still goes through 3. And he's going to go through 4 as well. Nicely done. Yes, well spotted there, good sir. So, Ross Woodford leads the way. 1.1 ahead of Holstein, who's got Pinsker and Einar Marinsky. And not a great start for the Glacier Racing ace in the BMW. Then 1.5 seconds back to Andy Gorton. He's worked his way past Alex Bennett, as we've just seen, in Renault Talvar with Kian White right behind. Our Pro-Am leader all the way up into 9th position now. John Halliwell in the BMW is doing what he can in the 9th position. Then it's Martin Edelig in so second in the Pro-Ams and 10th overall. And there in our Pro-Am leader, our AM leader, Cohen Van Eyck, still leading the way in class by quite a way. Good 9 seconds to the good in class for him. Jake Sanders in 12th. There's Blair Mann and Craig Dancy down to 14th, and Edens in the 15th position. It hasn't gone too well for him so far. Alfie Lawrenson, Tom Hooper right with him.
Marinsky eyeing up a move on pit screen to turn 1, and it looks like he's just going to get him on the brakes. And that moves Marinsky up into 3rd position, which is very crucial at the start of this race, because once you settle into a rhythm around Nürburgring, it becomes a lot more difficult to overtake around this track.
I wonder whether Pinsker let that one go, because Marinsky had that one very confidently done. Oh no, trouble! Trouble for someone was falling through the field, trying to get who it is. Sylvian Moraine has had trouble. Unfortunately, I won't be able to replay it because I haven't been getting data of him. Yeah, it was Sylvian Moraine that's had a little bit of a problem. Oh dear, oh dear. Jumping back up to the front of the field to try and keep an eye on. So essentially anyone in the top half of the field I will be able to keep a close eye on. But sadly, outside of that, no such luck. Bennett is keeping Andy Gorton in close company as everyone now starts to settle into the rhythm. You're starting to see the gaps kind of ebb and flow a little bit. Oh, Jamie Smith and Canute Martinson side by side out of the Dunlop curve. And that's Canute through. He's managed to get the 120 Ferrari up into the top spot. Nicely done. There's a huge amount of packs going on, as you would imagine.
Ooh, something's not quite right with Cohen Van Eyck. He's a bit slow on the straights. I will have a quick check to see if he had a slowdown penalty, perhaps.
Yeah, you're quite right. That's Dancy and Edens that's gone through, and Alfie Lawrenson as well. Flash of the lights from Tom Hooper. Interesting. Now he's not lapping him, so that's not the correct use of the flashing of the lights unless Tom and Cohen have come together and Tom's just expressing his dissatisfaction on what's gone on. That's a bit of a strange one. But there goes Tom Hooper to take that 16th spot. Oh, he's gone in too hot! And he's locked on the brakes, gone backwards into Cohen Van Eyck. And that's going to put Tom, long way down. He's going to have to... Oh, yeah, look at that. He's parked right on the apex. He's going to have to be very, very careful about how he recovers from there. Disaster for him. Oh, what's going on here? Yeah, Cohen Van Eyck. Yes. Can you see any trouble with Cohen's car?
Not that I can see. I mean, he's got more trouble now that he knocked Hooper.
Hooper slid backwards into it. You can see the damage. If we go to
what was very interesting was that I didn't see anywhere where Cohen would have got a slowdown, but that appeared to be the only thing that it could have possibly been.
Well, he's got a
earlier in the lap that cost him to slow down on the straight.
He's certainly got a fair amount of damage on the right-hand side of that car as we were looking back. Oh dear, that's not a happy-looking Ferrari. So I wonder if he's been involved in a couple of incidents this early in the race. That is going to make him hanging on to the AM lead very, very difficult indeed. But he's giving it everything he's got. Right behind him, Jack Anderek, the 217 car.
The advantage Cohen has is that over last season is that we will have an earlier pit stop around here with the shorter fuel tank, which means that he'll be able to pit earlier to repair that damage, and Anderek goes through fairly easy with the straight line speed damage, as does the BMW there of Corney to Creek.
Yeah, it's not going well, and then he comes. Yeah. I thought he might come in early, just how much he was falling through the field. So
he might just make it to the end on 2 more full tanks, so his race might not be over.
We will see.
All depends on how long this damage takes to repair. It looks like it's just front end damage, at which case it should, and that's a big if sometimes with the iRacing damage, but it should be repaired.
It was a little bit hit and miss sometimes. That's Ross maintaining 1.5 seconds lead over anyone that is chasing him. He still has Christoph Holstein staring at him. The Comrade BMW still not able to close in too much at the moment. There's Einar Marinsky in the Glacier Racing BMW. Fine looking livery that is. So the top 3 are all BMWs. The podium 3 in the Beamer. James Pinsker, our lead Ford. He's doing what he can to stay on the time tracks. And then there's Andy Gorton, our lead Ferrari. Who's our lead Porsche then, I wonder? As I go through the field. Oh, still haven't found one.
You might have to go all the way down to about...
Oh, there it is. Is that
7.
Alex
There's
Smith?
Alex Smith.
Is our lead Porsche. Wow, in the Pro-Am category, the Porsche not faring too well this time. Is that why the popularity of the Porsche is not so strong?
No, yeah, that's very much the case. And also, the downside is that no one in the top categories has really picked the Porsche. And no matter what, it's not going to make you an amazing driver, even if it is the fastest of the cars, because this is a very balanced category. So in order to see a car, it does at the front, it still needs to be driven by the quicker drivers, and unfortunately the Porsche is not getting that luck, so it's not getting that showtime up at the front, and so it looks like it'll have to compete for maybe wins in the Pro-Am category, but won't seem to find any luck up the field.
Cool, that's so close in this pack of four that we're looking at. The blimp, they've gone right underneath the blimp. That's Jake Sanders, Craig Dancy, Michael Edens and Alfie Lawrenson in this particular squabble. And again, it's all well and good trying to think the longer game. It's an hour and 20 minutes this race all in all, 45 laps, give or take one or two. But, you know, when you're this close to somebody else, it's difficult to remain just where you are. Whoa, that's close between Lawrenson and Edens.
The big problem with this train is that the Ford driver of Darcy will find it very difficult to overtake the BMW in front of him, because there aren't many overtaking opportunities at this track, and the Ford is the slowest car in the straight line, whereas the BMW is one of the faster. And then he's got a Ferrari on his rear that he'll have to defend from, because Ferrari is the fastest in the straight line. And then behind that is a BMW who's in the slipstream of a Ferrari, but that Ferrari then has slipstream on other cars. And so it becomes one of those stalemate situations where you really want to overtake the car in front, but you just can't seem to find a way past. As I say that, you've got Dancy just sniffing that gearbox of the BMW, but he just can't close in enough, because it's such a hard place to overtake in that chicane, because you have to be side by side in the braking zone. Otherwise, they'll just shut the door on you, because it's very single file through there. And then as you come through that chicane, everything sort of evens out again, and then you're back into this position where, as you can see, he's now put out a massive gap over Dancy to really the only overtaking opportunity at this track, which is turn 1.
I'm just going to make one small adjustment. Oh, Michael Edens. That was close. That was very, very close. I'm just going to try one quick alteration to the stream to see if it helps this stuttering that's going on. Bear with me just a sec. And we're back again. So, just a very quick alteration to see if anything improves. If it does, which it doesn't look like it has, ironically, I was looking to hopefully try further improvements so I can see more of the field. It doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Never mind, we will have to run with what we have got. Further up the field, another train going on behind Key and White. There they are. So you can see, well, it's really behind John Halliwell, in fairness, as there's a second near enough between White and Halliwell, 8th and 9th. So it's John Halliwell, Martin Nedelijk and Blair Mann in this particular pack. So I didn't realise just how many BMWs there are in this field.
I think there are 17 BMWs and 17 Ferraris. So
wow.
But I think the BMW is much more the favourite among the drivers in the Pro and Pro-Am fields, and I think the Ferrari is much more chosen in the Pro-Am and Am fields, which is where you'll see a lot more BMWs up closer to the front of the field.
Pinsker has made a mistake. Yeah, there we go. I thought Pinsker had made a mistake somewhere, because he's suddenly been mugged by Andy Gorton.
And he's about to be mugged by Alex Bennett as well.
Oh, there we go. That's what he's done. He's gone too hard into the Vidal chicane, bounced over that, had to take the long way around the final turn. So Andy Gorton in the Ferrari's gone through, and Alex Bennett has found his chances. I think he's still just about ahead. Yeah, Alex Bennett hasn't managed to make the move, but he's then had to defend all the way down the start finish. Alex Bennett having a look on the inside coming into the first turn. No, that is close. But then Pinsker has the inside line for the second turn, and that is job done. Has managed to hang on to the position just about. And I'm sure James will not thank me for highlighting that one.
Just in front of them, I'm not quite sure what's happening with the gap. It's staying around 1.4 seconds between the leader and our P2 driver of Christopher Holstein, but behind him there is a Glacier's BMW sniffing the Comrade BMW in front of him.
Very much so.
You've got to play a drinking game for every time that we say BMW in this field at the moment.
You'll be dead. You'll be hospitalised before the end of the race. Oh my goodness, yeah, that would be impossible. Yeah, so there's a bit of a strange spreading up front. As I say, Ross Woodford is just about opened up that gap to about 1.8, but it's never been all that big. And then, yeah, you just saw at the top of the shot. There's the pack we were just looking at of Gorton, Pinsker, Bennett and Talvar. And then behind them is another 4-car train, which was the one we were looking at previously. Kian White, John Hallowell, Martin Nadely and Blair Mann. And then 4 seconds behind them is another 4-car train of Jake Sanders, Craig Dancy, Michael Edens and Alfie Lawrenson. Why are they, with the exception of the leaders, they're all in bunches of 4?
I think that is maybe one of those universal coincidences. That
Yeah.
I think it's very much a thing that we were probably going to end up with around this track with the lack of overtaking opportunities, and you were going to end up with possibly. Oh, there's a sideways BMW there. I think Corny de Creek.
Corny de Creek, yes. What's he done?
Way too. Locked the rear axle.
Yeah, way too hot into turn 3. Has spun that one around. Managed to keep it going. Would have had probably a 1x for just jumping over the apex there. But carries on in 19th position. And I'm not getting any data for James Pinsker.
Yeah, he's having definitely some connection issues.
He is, isn't he? Yeah, that's not me. That is him.
That's definitely not you on that one. That is him having his own issues on his end. So he'll be praying to all manners of deities that his internet does not go away from him during this race.
Just reappeared, and Alex Bennett is looking to make a move on the ever-disappearing James Pinsker. Oh, he's disappearing from us, at least. Whether he's disappearing from anybody else, we don't know. There's the bollards that were previously run over. And Pinsker's just about managed to fend off Alex Bennett. But look at Andy Gorton. He's managed to break away to about a second from the forwards. So that's the issues that Pinsker has allowed the Ferrari to get a little bit of breathing space, which will certainly help Andy to try and close down that 3.5 second gap between himself and Einar Marinsky. And I wonder if Einar's just sitting there. Einar Marinsky's probably just not in. Do you think the likes of Einar Marinsky are just sitting there, or do you think
he is very much sitting there? Yeah, indeed. I think he'll be, certainly for this stint, be trying just to maybe eke out an extra lap and try and go for the overcut on Chris, and just maybe then for the next stint you try and stay in front of Chris and try and push to close down that sort of quite stable gap to Woodford and see if he can maybe make a bit more of an indent. But another thing is with the James Pinsker disappearing issue, which is definitely happening to everyone around him, because he doesn't have a lap time for the last lap, which means that he definitely did disappear on everyone else's end. That means that not only does Alex Bennett not get the benefit of James's slipstream, but it also means that he has absolutely no idea where James will reappear, which is not what you want when you're trying to fight for the car.
No, indeed. He doesn't know where anyone else is. No one knows where he is.
No.
Oh, this pack again. These are so closely combined. I just get the feeling if something's going to happen, it's going to be this pack.
Oh, that is Jake Sanders going defensive against Dancy going into the chicane.
Yeah, that's not an overtaking spot.
It's only an overtaking spot if you are side by side and you have the inside line, because otherwise the other car will just close the door on you because it is single file. But you have to get your car in the right position, which, being in a Ford like Dancy is, he's going to find it very difficult to, as Eden's behind just has another look down the inside of turn 4. That is a much better overtaking opportunity if Dancy could find a way through there. But it appeared that Sanders has clearly either got a very good setup, or that BMW is very suited to the last couple of corners of the lap, because he just seems to pull out a bit of an advantage as they go through those final couple of turns.
There's another pack of 4 further down. Isaac Morris, Alexander Godefroy, Knut Martinson and Chris Yardley. Another group of 4 that's having a great old scrap for 20th position. Also, I noticed Arjun van Putten. Oh, Michael Edens has had trouble. What's he done? He's lost his spot in that pack of 4. Oh, he got hit from behind by Alfie Lawrenson. And Arjun van Putten was right there to take the spot. Oh dear, Michael Edens will not be pleased with that. There's Alex Smith looking to get involved, so that train could get considerably longer. Oh, James has had another lag incident, I see.
I don't think that Alfie Lawrenson will be able to do himself many favours in the stewards room if that does get taken up. It looks like it might be either a penalty next race or a post-race penalty, so you might have to check in on that one next week to find out what's happened there, I'm afraid.
Indeed.
What this does also mean is that the VSR, BMW and the Tapper Ford might just be able to use that to pull away a bit more from Lawrenson. Who knows though, because maybe in fact he's being held up by the train and he'll catch right back up to the back of those two.
So many cars that essentially occupy the start finish road at the same time. That's Sanders and Dancy going side by side again into turn 1. The BMW locks up a little bit, but no, Craig Dancy can't do anything about it.
And now we see the other thing with this track is that although there is one overtaking opportunity, it is very easy to defend with turn 1. If you get that inside line, it's incredibly difficult because it's such a downhill apex that your car just gets pushed to the outside anyway, so it's incredibly difficult to go around the outside there.
Very much so. It does look like they've broken away a little bit from Alfie Lawrenson. Richard Van Putten, Michael Edens forming their own little train there. But also what I noticed further up the field was, where is he? Kian White isn't in a particular pack at the moment. You just seen at the bottom of the shot there, the back of the train is behind Andy Gorton, which is James Pinsker, Alex Bennett and Rainer Talvar, and Kian White is looking to join in on that, and I bet you he's absolutely going flat out and barely closing in on them.
Yeah, I mean, if he can just get maybe a couple, maybe 3/10 on the cars in front, he'll start to pick up that slipstream, which will then help him close in a bit more, so he'll get more slipstream and it'll snowball. And I think the only way that he can really hope to do that quickly is if the likes of Talvar and Bennett start fighting at the back of that train, and they can just pull Kian a bit along. But he has done very well to break away from the pack behind, I must say.
Oh, that was side by side going on there. Oh, that's Cohen Van Eyck coming out. Yep, it was indeed. Cohen Van Eyck has come out of the pits 3 laps behind Boniface, 7 laps down from the leader, I believe.
That's not good, because what that means is that he's probably had suspension damage from that incident that he had earlier in the race, because he's been in the pits since we saw him enter all those laps ago on lap 5. So that means that he's had a significant damage, which is normally suspension related.
Oh, I thought Sebastian Riethmüller was going backwards then. I needed for a very brief moment. Can you just cover me for a brief little bit, James? So let's have a quick rundown of the order for everybody. So up at the front we have Ross Woodford in the Radicals Online Sim Auto BMW, who is 1.7 seconds now in front of Christoph Holstein, ahead of Ernar Marinsky in third in the Glacier Racing BMW. Behind them is Andy Gorton in P4, leading the train of Pinsker, Bennett, Talvar, and as we just mentioned, Kian White trying to catch up to that. Behind them is our Pro-Am leader of John Halliwell, closely followed by the next Pro-Am driver of Martin Nedelec, who appears to have a lapped car of... who is that? That is Cohen Van Eyck indeed. Blair Mann's just overtaken John Halliwell, as you can notice. I did say it was only a brief moment. Yeah, so that was Blair Mann coming past John Halliwell up into 9th position. Yeah, that's Cohen Van Eyck that's doing the rounds at the moment.
Yeah, he'll just be very annoyed because he'll just get blue flag notification after blue flag notification, and it's just one of those moments where you just want to start just lapping. You just want to, if you're not fighting anyone, you just want to be out there to at least have a race with the timing screen. But then the second that you keep getting the blue flags, you just don't feel like you actually are doing anything out on track, and that is the most demoralising feeling. It's just that feeling of what am I actually really doing sitting here? But I can tell you that although it may seem lost, if he can stay where he is, he'll still pick up probably full points, and so he'll be able to, if anyone does drop out, he might be able to pick up some positions along the way. And it's one of the things you just have to tell yourself that it might get good towards the end. It may seem bad now, but he might have an opportunity as the race progresses.
Could well do. I'm just gonna try something here. The overlay is gonna disappear for a minute. I'm just trying something. Do bear with me. I'm just seeing if I've been having a little bit of trouble with the overlay, which would be very frustrating if that is the case. Everything seems to be... Annoyingly, I seem to have stopped the stutters once the overlay is turned off. Unfortunately, then I can't change who I'm looking at, so... Never mind. We'll get back on with who we are looking at. At the front, still Ross Woodford, leading by about 1.7 seconds from this warring duo of Holstein and Marinsky. I'm just going to bring the theme back in to see if there will be a bit of a crunch in the sound whilst that goes on. Bear with me. I shouldn't really be surprised that Ina Marinsky has kind of stayed where he is all this time. I thought he'd have sort of made the move by now, but he has still remained content to stay there, and he's been there all race long. There's 15 laps now that Marinsky has been staring at the back of Holstein's car.
Maybe he thinks that if he saves the fuel that he can behind Holstein, that not only will he jump Holstein in the pit stops, but he might gain a significant advantage on Woodford, because they're all obviously in BMWs, which means that any fuel you save over the other cars, it will be a direct fuel save, because they should be having almost identical fuel usage, being in the same manufacturer with the same engine and etc. So perhaps if he can gain an extra lap and do the overcut, he's expecting that his gap to Woodford come the next stint could be a lot lower.
Could well be. Could well be.
Speaking of which, we must start to expect pit stops soon. I wouldn't say quite yet, because the fuel usage at this track is one of the lowest, probably on iRacing. It's incredibly low. There aren't, like, as with the not many overtaking opportunities, there obviously aren't many places to burn fuel. So we might start to see him a bit later than normal. I mean, I would say for the entirety of the season, you want to look around the half an hour mark, which is where we are right now. But you might expect to see it a bit longer at Nürburgring.
And this four-way pack hasn't really dissipated any. It is Pinsker, Bennett, Talvar. Beg your pardon, Gorton, Pinsker, Bennett and Talvar. Kean's fallen off the back of this pack now. There he is in the Ford. He's now 3 seconds behind that pack. He was previously gaining on. Nederijk and Halliwell in their battle for the Pro-Am lead in 10th position overall. Third in that is Jake Sanders, who is about 5.7 seconds behind. There he is with a big pack behind him of Craig Dancy, Alfie Lawrence and Arjen van Putten. Michael Edens was in the midst of that pack. He's closed in a little onto the back of it now. There in the background you saw Alex Smith. There he is in the Conrad Tepper Porsche. Jack Anderek, pretty much on his own, or comparatively on his own, in 18th. Corner Creek we saw having an issue earlier on in 19th. Rounding out the top 20 is Isaac Morris, who's got Alexander Godefroy for company. Our AM leader, with Cohen Van Eyck having his problems, is Nick Domino, and there he is, only 1.3 seconds behind Godefroy. And that right behind him is Michael Mariani, He's doing a good job. Oops! Just as I talk about you, you have a bit of a wiggle into the Dunlop curve. I'm actually going to turn the overlay off for a little bit just to see if, as much as I really am reluctant to do that because Nick Domino puts a lot of time into running the overlay, but I'm just going to see whether is that my rig seems to be struggling to run the actual overlay, which would be highly annoying if that is the case. I mean, I can see the positionings here, so I will be able to change camera, and hopefully but if that stuttering disappears, it will at least be a little bit more comfortable to look at. Whereas my dog is now growling as I make out the window. So if you hear a dog joining in, that's what he's doing. At what point are we expecting pit stops, do you think, then, Mr. Clay?
I'm quite surprised that we really haven't seen anyone as of yet. I mean, yeah, with like I said, with the low fuel usage around here, I was expecting them to go a bit longer than half an hour, but not quite this long, unless it is actually possible to do a one-stop, but I think that's just too much of a stretch. I mean, we've still got to go another 8 minutes on this tank. You're talking another 5 laps.
Oh, Toman's in. Just as you say
there
that.
We go. Yeah, we're starting. We should be starting to get some in now. Then.
And he missed his pit box.
That is the worst feeling.
It's so easy to do, and they never miss it by much. But the fact that you have to back up just loses you that much more time.
It's always the worst one when you're trying to do a strategy pull that you're like, if I can do this, I might be able to gain a position come the end of the race.
Yeah.
And you feel like you've masterminded the perfect call, and you're like, this is the most crucial moment of my race, and you just go that meter deep or the meter short, and it just blows the entirety of your opportunity away. And it's just, luckily, I don't think it'll be that big because he's got another pit stop, but I think he'll probably be stopping a bit shorter next stop, especially. And he lets the leaders go through as he comes
overnight,
well.
yeah, parked on the apex of turn 1, which is, absolutely the right thing to do. He's staying. I think it was. Oh, no, it might not have been Coleman-Ike actually.
It was Toman just coming out of the pits after his stop.
Oh, it was Toman. Yeah, again, doing the right thing, staying out of the way. It's because they both had period, and that's why. That's what caught me out slightly. So, because I'm having a few less technical issues, I've actually turned the car count back up, so I'm now getting timings for everybody, so I'll be able to keep a better eye throughout the field. It's just unfortunate we can't see the amazing overlay work that our guru Nick Domino does. So that is Ross Woodford, still maintaining the lead up front in the number 1 car. Oh, what's going on with... Oh, as I say, that it now starts to blink. Let me just turn that back down again. If it's going to start blinking, that's no good to anybody. You can actually hear it as I've made that adjustment. Let's turn that back down. That's not any use to anyone. Whoops, I did right. There we go. So back towards the front. Yeah, Eno Marinsky doing his thing. It's now 12. Oh no, it's not. No, sorry, 4 seconds in between Marinsky and Gorton, so that gap is 6.5 seconds now. My Android not updating properly. Yeah, it's now 6.5 seconds between Andy Gorton and Einar Marinsky. So even though they're just kind of maintaining their trains essentially, that gap has just... Oh, Kean White! Trouble for Kean White in the last turn. What's happening? Oh, he's hit. That's Toman. That's Mikael Toman that he's tangled with. Oh no! And as he's trying to recover, that's Archer Van Putten that bounced off him. Oh no! That's all gone wrong. There's Michael Edens coming into the pits. Oh, a huge punch in the face for Archer Van Putten against Kean White.
The Tepper camp is not going to be. Well, I don't think anyone wants to be in the Tepper camp after this race at the moment.
And Archer Van Putten has recovered his car back to the pits. He can't continue with that. So where's Kean White? Yeah, he's done the same. He's returned. Actually, Toman is back in the pits as well, strangely. So now we are starting to see a bit of a flurry of pit stops going on. Edens is in. Brumfield is in. That's Kamke, I think, has brought his Care Bears car in. Yep, there he is.
Just as we thought this race might be starting to die out a little bit. We've got a little bit of drama to heat things up.
Just a bit. Yeah, Matthias is in. So yeah, lots of people bringing their cars in for pits now. The torrent doth continue. So I'm not even going to attempt to keep up with positioning at the moment. That's not Holstein. There's a back market in between Holstein and Woodford. Oh, never mind. I think the top three have all come in. Yep, they have. The top three have come in line astern. What does Gorton choose to do? No, Gorton's going to lead the race along with the pack that's been following him. Now, I'm not surprised for Pinsker, Bennett and Talvar. They've been behind someone all race long, so they would have used a bit less fuel. But Gorton's stretching that somewhat. Talvar, was that Blair Mann behind? Yeah, Blair Mann's choosing to continue. So it's just the top three from that leading pack that's gone through the pits.
I see a lot of the Pro-Am field is thinking about pitting, because I see Martin and Halliwell have both gone into the pits, and I think what's surprising me is more that people like Blair Mann managing to stay out, because he's pretty much been in clean air, and he's also in a BMW like the top three that pitted, whereas Pinsker and Talvar I was expecting to go longer because the Ford is slightly better on fuel. It has a slightly bigger fuel tank and doesn't consume that much more per lap. Andy Gorton obviously is in a Ferrari, which is obviously a different car to the BMW, so fuel usage would be in a different place there. And Bennett, I guess, is in slipstream, despite the fact that he's known for having quite a leaky fuel tank. So good job on him managing to make the extra lap work.
Bravo. Well, we'll soon know if it's going to backfire on anybody. If we see someone parked at the side of the road. Instant count. No one's particularly... Well, Kean White was getting close to it, no doubt, due to that punch in the face.
Edens might have pulled off a good strategy here, as he looks like he might have just got around at Craig Dancy coming out of the pit. Doesn't appear to have got Sanders.
Yeah, that is indeed Craig Dancy. He's just managed to get him ahead of. He had a much shorter stop. He lost 5 less seconds, did Michael Edens. His pit lane loss was 42.6 seconds. Dancy was 47. Sanders was 15. Sanders still managed to beat him out just about. But yeah, that's certainly going to help Michael Edens try and recover some positions.
What might be interesting is if Edens goes on a bit of a charge here to try and get ahead of Sanders, because what I suspect, if he has that much of a shorter stop, is that he might have short-filled a little bit to try and jump everyone in this train, because remember that he... had that incident with Alfie Lawrenson, which put him behind the train of about 4 cars, and he's now up into second place in that train. And if he can get into the lead, he might be able to pull away. But that also means that he needs to pull out a big enough margin so that when he has to put the bigger fuel in later in the race, that he doesn't fall behind this train again.
What's also interesting is that the top 5, so the previous pack that took over the lead, have all come in at once, but Woodford is now 7 seconds ahead of Holstein, and wow, the reason being is Ross Woodford had a much shorter pit stop, 5 seconds less in the pit stop alone. Oh, and that's Marinsky looking to get involved with Christoph Holstein as they come through the turns 1 through to 4. Doesn't quite manage to pull off anything just yet. Most other people have been into the pits at least once, and the only people that haven't, Alexander Godefroy and Florian Denzler, have yet to see the pit lane. Canute is going on as well. That's unusual one, because I think he's... Well, no, we did see Canute involved in some battles earlier on. What's happened with Gorton? Nothing's happened with Gorton, but Marinsky is... wow, actually, Andy Gorton's not too... is much closer to this quarrelling pair for second, and again Andy Gorton short pit stop, 38 seconds, which is considerably less than everyone else's kind of 41 to 44. So some short fuelers in this stint, but like you say, that could bite them if they don't make it work now.
What I'm more perplexed about is that Pinsker, Bennett, Talvar have all stayed with Gorton, so they've had fairly decent pit stops as well. So it's just perplexing me as to where those BMWs of Holstein and the person that he was fighting with, Marinsky, that they were so slow in the pit stops, because I've looked back at it, and they didn't have any issues on entry or anything. It's honestly so surprising to me that they've lost so much time.
I don't think they have. I think it's just Ross Woodford was in the pits that much less.
I mean, it's not that, it's the amount that Gorton, Bennett, Pinsker, Talvar have all gained on them as well, though.
Oh, Andy Gorton.
Oh, that is true, actually.
Yeah,
Gorton's
look at the
made-
gap. Yeah, look at the gap,
made-
Bennett to Gorton. That's now
Yeah.
7 seconds because Gorton gained 5 of those in the pit.
Indeed. I don't know why my iRacing told me that they were a lot closer than they were. That's my mistake.
Oh yeah, believe me, I'm relating to the technical problems. Oh, that's Kamke, I think, getting out. Oh, there's the 2 Hyperion cars. That's not Kamke, sorry, Cohen Van Eyck and Toman. That's Judy getting out of the way. Amazingly, Florian Denzler still hasn't pitted in the PCDC Ford. He does remember he has to, doesn't he?
I mean, maybe it's just that slightly annoying sounding twin turbo engine being very fuel efficient.
That is true. Also, Knut Martinsen hasn't pitted as well. Even the dog's joining in.
I saw Knut battling quite a way down the field, so maybe he's had other issues that have maybe allowed him to save a bit more fuel, but it's probably not been his most favourite of races today, unfortunately.
And these warring BMWs, 2 tribes still at war as they continue to circulate. There's Andy Gorton. Let's have a look at the lap times. Yeah, Andy Gorton's gained another half second on the pair ahead of him, so he's really going to be involved. But again, he's got to. If he's going to make that strategy work, he's got to get through them as quickly as he can to try and minimise the overall loss. So keeping an eye on instant points. Oh, Denzler is now in. He couldn't push that one any further. Instant count, no one. Isaac Morris, we haven't had a chance to look too far down the field for a while, but he's on 16. He's got to be careful. Otherwise, most other people are hovering around the halfway point, but generally below it. As Isaac Morris has had a few more incidents than others. Right behind him, Alexander Godefroy and Chris Yardley doing their thing. I keep looking at. I'm keeping an eye, a very keen eye on Einar Marinsky because that gap is just so small. But equally, you've got Andy Gorton that is really going to get involved. Now, a 2-car battle just kind of stays as they are generally, but I've always thought, 3 or more really makes a battle that much more complicated. But how many 4-car trains have we seen? Well, prime example, there's another one. Bennett, Pinsker, Talvam. Oh no, Brian Mann's not on the back of that. It's still a 3-car train. Okay, they're not close enough to necessarily punch and counter-punch one another. But was Andy Gorton's made a mistake? What's he done? He's suddenly 2.3 seconds behind. What's he done here? That's coming through. Oh, we just slowed down. Weird. Would he have had a slowdown, I wonder?
I'm not quite sure myself, to be honest.
Oh, Dancy! Craig Dancy's in trouble. Oh, at that very same bit of trouble. Oh, he's gone way too hot into there. Managed to keep his car off the track. Oh, wow. He did well to keep that one out of trouble. Has recovered. There goes Jack Anderek that's just gone past him. But that puts Craig Dancy back down into 16th position. Oh, Michael Edens! Oh, no, Michael Edens! He was trying his best to recover time. He's pushed it. Whoa, yeah, that's got really loose on him in that final turns. Then done well to keep out of trouble. And that is Alex Schmidt that's gone past him as well. That's down to 14th now for Michael Edens. How easy is it for just to push it a little bit too hard, that little bit too far?
I think in a corner like that, especially, you're coming off quite a sizable curve, especially like I said earlier about me being a prototype driver. In the prototypes, we can't touch that curve; it will just throw us off into the wall. So it's quite an unsettler. So it's a very crucial braking zone, and although it's quite a short braking zone, it is a very tricky corner. It's a lot more tricky than most of the outside viewers would expect it to be, and so I can totally expect You can totally understand why someone might just brake that fraction too late, and then the rear end just decides, I'm not really fancying turning in for that corner anymore, and it just starts to step out on you. He did very well in making sure that when he counter-steered, it made sure that he went into the gravel and not into the wall on the inside there.
Looks like Ross, I don't know whether it's me, but it looks like Ross Woodford's been having some lag trouble, because I keep losing data to him. That could be me, is the technical trouble I've had.
I'm having some trouble with Woodford as well.
So maybe he's having some connection issue. Hopefully not. I would imagine he'd be absolutely gutted if he lost connection, having led the whole way, or near enough the whole way. As we look at Pinsker and Talvar, that is for 6th position. The Team Tepper Fords doing their thing with their slogan on the back. Somebody asking in chat, is there going to be a HUD? Unfortunately, the HUD has been causing me trouble. So I'm kind of trying to do a bit of damage limitation and keeping the HUD off. I may try it again towards the tail end of the race to see if I can limp it through, but I have had some difficulty once again. It wasn't quite as bad as it was last week, but still not particularly fun. So again, apologies for the technical trouble. But at the moment, I'm trying to keep the stream stable, if not looking its best.
What I can say that I do enjoy is with these with the new spec maps, which allow the cars to be a lot shinier, is that you can always tell when a car's been a lot more weathered now, because they'll start the race really shiny, and we can see a lot of the cars now have got all the flies and all the dirt smothered over the car, and they properly look like they've gone for a proper race now. And as we're approaching 50 minutes into the race, and so we've still got another half an hour to go even.
Oh, that's Marinsky and Holstein still battling the second. Still, they're nearly 8 seconds behind Ross Woodford, who continues to lead the way in the Radicals BMW.
I don't think Marinsky's very happy that they're losing so much time now. I think he's starting to get a bit tired of seeing that comrade rear end, which I must say actually looks rather nice. But I think that he's seen it now for 20 odd laps, and I think he's starting to think that it might be time to move on and see the front of the car instead.
Well, that's the view that, a little more accurately, that is the view that Inel Marinsky's had all race long. And they haven't touched, from what we can see. There's been no impact between Marinsky and Holstein. So they've done very well.
Cars look pristine.
Yeah, so they've done very well to race that long with no major incidents.
Especially with the unforgivingness of the way iRacing it has its damage model, it means that even a slight nudge still gives you a little bit of a dent. Maybe not so much if it's a slight graze, but you still have to keep your racing very clean. And so they've done very well to race within a couple of tenths for 20 odd laps.
Rainer Talbot with James Pinsker still for 6th position. That in the background is not Blair Mann, who is 8th position. That is a lapped car. It's probably going to be Toman. Nope, Toman's the Porsche. And that's still... battle for second does not, or has not changed. Oh, now there's a lot of back markers that... Bennett has gone past one of the Raptor Racing BMWs. That is car... I think that's Pontecorvi. Yep, there's Alejandro Pontecorvi, who's done a great job there. The Raptor Racing BMW, and stayed very much out of the way. Yes, Talvar once again. Nadeleek and John Halliwell are continuing their squabble for the Pro-Am lead. The Ferrari has been in the tyre tracks of the BMW for a very, very long time. On your screen, James, has Knut Martinson pitted? And Chris Yardley?
Let me go and find Knut Martinson.
Knut's in 16, Yardley in 21st. On my screen, they haven't pitted, and I can't believe they've gone this far without seeing the pits.
Let us find out. Martinson appears to have pitted on lap 15.
Yeah, so that would be when I wasn't getting data for him. I would imagine it's the same for Yardley as well. There's no way they've gone this long without seeing the pit lane, especially as everyone around them has.
No, especially.
And they're still in the battles that they've been involved with. So, yeah, that doesn't seem particularly likely to me.
A couple of stories that I think we might have missed out on is Alfie Lawrenson, who was around that incident between Kian White and Van Putten. He appeared to peel off into the pits at some point and has now lost about 4 laps. So clearly something's gone wrong there. And also Landman down in 44th place appears to have also had some issue that we have not been able to keep up with, which is unfortunate for them, but they are still running, so they might still be able to prosper from something happening.
And what do you know? As soon as I turn the overlay on, I get a little bit of blinking going on. I think again, yeah, I'm going to have to turn that overlay off, which is I'm so annoyed about, because I thought, like I say, we'd resolved this issue before the stream went live, and now it's going on all over the place. Oh, very frustrating. So unfortunately, we just have to deal with then being no information on. Well, I could put that one on. If I would leave that one on, so at least we can see who we're looking at. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, so it's easier for you viewer to see who we are talking about. If nothing else, as frustrating as that is, that's the best I'm afraid I can offer, and I will do some more testing and fiddling about to try and resolve that for next week. Who shall we have a look at? Who haven't we looked at? So let's have a look. Where's Michael Edens? There he is in 13th position after his earlier skirmishes. He's got Alex Smith right behind him.
Interesting. We were focusing on that battle with Edens and Sanders and Dancy, and now that they've all had a bit of troubles, that it appears that Edens is now out of that group is now 10 seconds behind Sanders. So that gap that battle that we had earlier is spaced out quite a bit there.
Yeah, very much so. As Voracek has brought his car in, Alfie Lawrenson has been in the pits for nearly a minute now. So, well, with the earlier impacts that he had, has not helped his cause at all. I've seen no one else is seeing the pit lane just yet. But looks like we are right on the verge of pit stop number 2. That's Yardley on Alexander Godefroy for 20th place. Alex Bennett just at the top of the shot there. James Pinsker still has Rainer Talvar for company, 5th, 6th and 7th respectively. Instant points, anybody close to the limit? Despite the fact this is a relatively unforgiving track, no, we still haven't got anybody that is really, really close. Sarah Dove's on 16, so she's got to be a little careful on how she proceeds. Isaac Moritz is still on 16. He was the last person we reported on. Michael Edens is on 15. Jake Sanders on 14. So the few people that do have to be a little more careful, but nothing too drastic at the moment.
No, it is quite an odd one at this track, because you can sometimes go 25, 30 minutes where you don't have an off track, and then just as the tyres start to eke away and just as your brain starts to fatigue a bit, you sometimes just drift a bit over that white line onto the off-road sections, and you just start picking up off tracks, and you start telling yourself not to pick them up, but the higher the incident count goes, the more stressed you are, and sometimes it gets to the point where you're even off the pace because you're so worried about getting disqualified. So it'll be something that might start niggling in the back of their heads, because they've still got just under 25 minutes just under to go in the race, and some of them have only got 4 incidents to play with, which also means that obviously they can't get too close to any other drivers, because if they do, then they'll end up with a 4x penalty which will get them disqualified, and that's always the point where you start worrying.
Yeah, most certainly. All Naderly was close to John Hallowell at one point, but interestingly, Pinsker and Talvar are no longer joined at the hip. They are now about 1 and a bit seconds apart, and right ahead of Pinsker is Alex Bennett. So has Pinsker now decided to get his foot down? I would imagine it's more Talvar's made a mistake. Oh, also that's interesting. Ross has lost a couple of seconds on Holstein.
He has indeed. He appears to have had quite a bad lap last time around, whether that was traffic related, but
Could well
he did a
be.
150.9, which is somewhat 1.5 seconds off his usual pace. So
2 seconds
so
slower than Holstein.
2.5 seconds, in fact.
Yeah. Cohen's in again. Well, that's probably a scheduled stop for Cohen, as he was only in there for 14 seconds.
Yeah, that'll be his final stop because, like I said, he would have had to have done 2 large fuel tank stints to get to the end after his damage, but unfortunately his damage was such that he had to waste about 5 laps stuck in the pits.
Oh, we've just lost connection to Alex Bennett. Alex, I know Alex has had some connection issues in the past.
Yeah. Especially last season, I remember he came back for Road Atlanta and he had to abort after a couple of laps because his internet connection was that bad.
Schmidt and Eden still fairly close together for 14th position, or 13th position rather.
Schmidt has slowly started to creep up the field a little bit. Started in 18th and has sort of been quietly flying the flag for Porsche at obviously their home race as well as BMW's home race.
Dancy, we saw facing the wrong way at one point. He is minding his own business, almost equidistant between between Alex Schmidt and Kenny Martinson. Oh, Ross Woodford lagged. I was just thinking, hang on a minute, we've had to change the lead. No, we haven't. It's just I had no connection to Woodford. Hang on a minute. Has that gap completely disintegrated? No, that's just my numbers going wrong because I wasn't getting any data for Ross Woodford. He was telling me it was 3.5 seconds. I was like, wow, that's disintegrated. No, the Ross is back up to pace now, so may well just been caught in traffic that's cost him a couple of seconds on Holstein and Woodford.
Ruining his university internet at the moment.
But interestingly, if Woodford is losing that much time, bearing in mind he did short stop last time around by a good 5 seconds. He's cutting that a bit fine. Bearing in mind there's only 6.5 seconds now between them, so that could make all the difference for the final stint.
He does appear to be back on the pace, but he hasn't. But that 150.9 has meant that he can't afford to make another mistake, definitely.
And equally, Holstein and Marinsky have got to keep half an eye on the instant count as well. They're on 14. Isaac Morris has gone up to 17 now. Tom Hooper's on 16.
That is not what you want when you're coming into a stint like this, where we're probably only going to have 15, 10 maybe minutes left when they come out of the pit lane. And those are the times where you start making those last lunge sort of moves that you wouldn't make for the rest of the race, but you'd make at the end because if you get damage from it, you're not going to be that worried. But you can't afford to make those lunges if you don't have the incident points remaining. I say that. I remember, I think it was Motegi last season where Ross Woodford had, he was on 19X and he decided to pull off quite an audacious move.
Yeah,
for the lead.
Well, I remember it. When he went in for the move, it was on Alex Bennett for the overall win. And I thought, oh, he's done it. He's disqualified. No, he isn't. He's still going. Yeah, that was indeed Motegi. One of the most insane race finishes I can remember. And then Alex Bennett, and because Alex is one of his best races up to that point, he led for so long, and then binned it in the final corner. He spammed.
He binned it into his comrade teammate of Dominic Gedermeyer, who couldn't afford any incidents either.
And disqualified him
instead. But that is the main point: is that when you get to a hectic final lap like that, having incident points spare are very, very crucial in case something like that happens that's out of your control and there is just suddenly another car in the middle of the track.
Yeah, totally. Michael Edens is on 16 instant points, so again, that's something he's got to bear in mind. You can't entirely ignore it.
I think a couple of drivers that we have to give a shout out to are Knut Martinson down in 15th, but he started 27th, so it's been actually a very good race from him. And also the overlay man and livery man Nick Domino, who started P30 but has now managed to climb his way all the way up into 70. So very strong showings from them.
And there's our AM leader as well, is Nick Domino, by
Indeed he is.
By about 14 seconds he leads the way. And Ross Woodford is in. Race leader, Ross Woodford.
it was a short fill last time around because I was expecting a couple more laps out of this stint.
Now, is Marinsky going to use now as an opportunity as they've just gone, oh, that's close! Oh, the 347 car, that's Steve Norman. I just noticed the British flag on the roof. Nice, like it. That was exceedingly close, sir. Steve Norman nearly introduced himself to the back of Einar Marinsky. Oh, wow, that got a bit hairy. I bet you Einar is going to want to try and muscle his way past Holstein now that Ross is in. And that, again, 36.6 seconds in the pit stop for Ross Woodford. We will see how much longer that is than everybody else. 34, 35 I'm seeing from 56. That was Jerzy Voracek, who's had a longer stop for some reasons. Matthias Salo Christensen is in. Where's Blair Mann? Is a couple of seconds down the road to Ross Woodford with a Ferrari in the way. Now,
one thing I said last week, and I will just reiterate it again, is that because we have these two stops, when you come out of your first pit stop, the iRacing defaults to recheck your tyres, so that you'd put them on and you'd put a new set of tyres on in the next stint. And being only the second race that we have the second pit stop in the GTE League, we might still find that a couple of drivers are a bit rusty to this and end up taking 15 or so second penalty. So if you see a slightly longer stop, that might be the cause of it.
And Holstein and Marinsky continue.
Oh, that's Philip Schiff doing an unorthodox letting through of Ross Woodford there.
What did he do?
As he goes off the track.
And he's on 18 incident points now, so careful, Philip. He was our AM winner last time around. He's right down there in 40th. So
I believe he won on 19X last race as well, so he might want to stop making a habit of this.
Yeah, he likes to live on the edge, does Philip Schiff. Wow, that is something. Now, I wonder, because Einar Marinsky has been behind Holstein, is Einar going to try and make a shorter stop than Holstein because he should have saved a little bit more fuel?
I'm not quite sure because I was expecting that to happen last stint because he stayed behind for so long, but somehow he couldn't make the extra stop work. We know it's possible because we saw it with the likes of Bennett last stint, who managed to make the BMW go a lap longer. So who knows, it might be possible. He might have played the long game, but I'm not so sure with how feisty he was looking at the rear end of Holstein earlier in the race.
Domino's in. Our AM leader has brought his car in for his last stop. Dancy has followed him in. Here we go. Yeah, there's going to be a few people jumping on that bandwagon, I think. Apparently, Nick Domino is on 2 incident points.
It's just one too many, I'm afraid. Because it's kind of unfortunate because once you get past the point of 1x, so you get on to 2x, you've lost the bonus points. So you kind of just feel like you've wasted a lot of the time you could have gained. Maybe he'll go on a bit of a off-track spree come the end of the race to get some time back, but it kind of gets to that point where you consider it. Some tracks more than others, but certain tracks you'll consider come the end of the race if you've got like 10x to spare before you're even close to getting disqualified. You might just think, maybe for the last couple of laps I'll use some of my off tracks.
Throw caution to the wind, yeah. Well, a few drivers don't have that luxury as we've got 17 and a half minutes remaining of this race. Isaac Morris now on 18. Sarah Dove's on 19. So that is getting very, very close. Andy Gorton's been through the pits and he's going to come out not that far behind Woodford, actually. John Halliwell. John Halliwell needs to come in the pit though, so you can't count his position. There's Woodford, and there was Gorton. Okay, that wasn't as close as I thought it would be. Corner Creek has come in as well. He was around about 11th when he came in. Still, Holstein and Marinsky continue.
Unfortunately, there's a bit of a lull at the moment as we just wait for all the people that have kind of broken out of trains because they've pitted earlier than others to meet up with the people they were fighting earlier.
I think it's going to be a bit of a calm before the storm, though.
Indeed.
in the last 15 minutes of the races when everyone is just going to go absolutely for it. But again, quite a few people need to keep an eye on
Tom Hooper just diving down the inside of Jamie Sif, sorry about that, but he makes the move stick on the exit, gets the better traction and goes around the outside, still with that bent wing from earlier in the race. He's had that now for 35 laps, so...
yeah, the back end of that car is not happy at all.
No, especially with the Ferrari. What has saved the Ferrari drivers is that although it has been during the midday at this track, we've only got up to a track temperature of 22 degrees Celsius, which means that tyre degradation will be incredibly low, which for the likes of the Ferrari drivers will be, I think, a very welcome sight indeed, because otherwise, coming especially into that stadium section with the turns 3 and 4 with the really slow chicane, that is when the tyres start to scream normally.
Halliwell's in, so we're starting to see a bit of a trickle of pit stops. Oh, Marinsky, he just stays so close to the back of Holstein, so all credit to him for doing so, and for Holstein for just bearing that pressure for so long. But unless they have a really short stop, Woodford will regain the lead. He's 28.5 seconds behind the leader, which is of course Christoph Holstein at the moment, with the pit stop looking like it's 30 seconds plus at minimum. So of course the longer they go, the less likely the less time they'll need in the pit stop, unless they can't go all the way, can they?
No. If they had made it to 40 minutes before they stopped, then definitely. But remember that they pit at the same time as Woodford, which was nowhere near that. So there's no way you can possibly go that long on a tank. But what Marinsky's doing very well is he's putting Holstein under pressure, but he's not making him take an adverse line. So they're not being slowed up, but he is also introducing the opportunity that Holstein can make a mistake.
Very, very true. Halliwell and Godefroy are fairly close together, but Halliwell's been through the pits, but Godefroy isn't. Well, most people in front, Halliwell have not, so he'll gain quite a few positions thereafter. We've lost a few drivers from the race. Kian White, Arjen van Putten, Nikolai Landman, Paolo Martins apparently did 20 laps, but or did a handful of laps, but I'm not entirely sure he did. Alfie Lawrenson we've lost. Philip Schiff has fallen victim to the incident limits. He is no longer in the race. He has been disqualified, and that is Halliwell and Godefroy side by side. The Ferrari made a bit of a hash of the last corner, and through goes the BMW up into 15th position before waiting for the Ferrari to come in. So nicely done there. Toyota Christensen is gone. I think that's all of our retirees at the moment. The leader at the moment is still Christoph Holstein, still being chased by Einar Marinsky. But it's looking like, well, that gap between Woodford and Holstein is continuing to fall. Although he has got someone ahead of him. That's going to be, is that Sarso Prosen? No, don't know who that is.
He's got Blair Mann in front of him, who is for position, technically.
Oh!
It is not a lapped car, so Blair has the ability
I automatically assumed he was a lapped car there. Oh, yeah, it was my mistake there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Blair Mann does not have to get out of the way, as you say there, James. He could easily fight Ross. Realistically, is he going to? You do.
Probably
I mean, you
not,
know who you're in a fight with.
The key difference is that because this is such a tough track to overtake, he's not going to want to just let Ross go. He's not going to want to pull off. So unless Woodford actually mounts a challenge, he's probably not going to let Ross go. And it means that Ross will be held up unless he can absolutely send it from... Oh, as I say that, it looks like perhaps...
Right on cue.
Perhaps Blair Mann did ease off the throttle a little bit there, and might come back to bite him, but also I don't think Blair was really fighting anyone, so he didn't have any reason to lose maybe a couple of tenths. So think it would have been a very different story if you had someone like Pinsker or Talvar in front of him, who are definitely still fighting drivers around them and couldn't afford to lose any time.
But crucially, in the traffic that Ross has had, so Blairman, and there is also a back marker behind them. Just saw the bent wing of the Porsche there. That's cost him time, and that's now put 29.5 seconds in between himself and Holstein. Now Edens has come through the pits. What's his pit lane loss? It's still over 30 seconds, so the advantage is still with Woodford. 32 seconds was the pit lane loss there. So Ross is going to have to really shift to close that gap down. And Marinsky has fallen off the back of Holstein.
Holstein in.
And Marinsky is in. I wonder whether Marinsky must have made a mistake somewhere. That is one of the Care Bear Ferraris. Is that Kamke? Nope. Forgotten who the other one was. That is coming to the pits as well. So Holstein, Marinsky, and it's Merlin Cooper. That's also coming.
I found Marinsky's mistake. It was going into turn 3. He went in a bit too deep on a bit too dead tyres, and the rear end stepped out on him.
Good spot, sir. Anyone else? Oh, another victim of the incident limit. It's Craig Dancy. Oh, no.
And Holstein's coming out of the pits. Where does he rejoin?
He's ahead of Woodford. He's ahead of Woodford. Wow. So Woodford has been held up by people, and Holstein has absolutely done. But wow, that's a really short, very, very short stop from Holstein and from Marinsky. But Marinsky has got all this traffic ahead of him. So exactly as we said, it's hotting up in these dying stages of the race. We've got 9.5 minutes to go. And suddenly, it's Christoph Holstein in the driving seat, who have played the strategy brilliantly well. But we know how much of a hard charger Ross Woodford is. And the 3 top runners, which is Holstein, Woodford and Marinsky, are all on 15 incident points. And we know what Ross Woodford thinks of the incident limit. So,
just as we were referencing that, we might have to see another Ross Woodford charge up into the lead.
Yeah,
if absolutely. In this race. And it might take an overtaking move just as special as that one we did mention around this track as well.
And Mateki, yeah, that was absolutely stunning. But and Alex Bennett, ironically, is the one in the lead at the moment. So he came in. This is going to be the 40th lap in this stint for him. Yeah, I was just about to say, I can't imagine he's going to hold on too much longer. Pinsker and Talvar continues, so the Tepper Fords are going to lead for a little while.
The Ford is very fuel efficient, so it's not a surprise to a lot of people. I don't think that it's the car that seems to be able to go the longest, but it appears they've done 2 20-lap stints, so almost within reach of a 1-stop, 5 laps too short, but there's not really enough places to efficiently save fuel around here, because although it's a very light on fuel track, that's because it doesn't have many straights, and so there aren't many places to lift and coast around.
We've lost John Halliwell, I see, at some point due to a connection problem. That's a huge shame for him. But Blair Mann has brought his car in, so he's now kind of got himself out of the way. Is that? Oh, that's Sarah Dove's car, I believe. Sarah Dove. No, it isn't. Another purple Ford that's right in the midst of this particular back. But Holstein is timing his run perfectly well. Now, Woodford's gotten past. I can't see who that is, unfortunately. But Eno Marinsky is right there. Look at that. He's got the Porsche and the Ford right ahead of him.
Your purple Ford is Victor Matios.
It's the Hyperion Ford of Matios. Yep, he's gone past the Porsche, but he's still got Victor to deal with. So that's costing Enar so much time.
Ooh, okay, he just manages to leave enough of an inside gap. But also, as a prototype driver, I can say that's not the favourites of moves for people to lap people through there when they just leave you the inside room into the hairpin.
And Holstein's picked up another incident point. He's on 16 now, so again, he can't push it too hard. He's really...
No, a really cheeky thing Woodford can do at that situation
is
if he hit him, then Woodford would be on 19 and Holstein would be on 20, but I doubt that Woodford would do that. No. I don't think many people go into racing that way. So,
no.
And especially considering the fact that if Woodford gets another X, then neither of them can afford to hit each other. So,
And Marinsky's picked up 2 whilst we've been talking about that. He's on 17 now.
Now that is the point of quite a lot of stress. That is indeed. And what he won't be liking is the sight that he's got in front of him. Oh wait, no. Halliwell does manage to stay out of his way as he rejoins this race, but
that's one way to do it, John.
I mean, it works.
It's effective.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. A little excessive. So with a splash and dash for Pinsker and Talvar, as they rejoin in 6th and 7th position respectively, 2.6 seconds behind Alex Bennett, who's got one of the Care Bear Ford's Ferraris rather ahead of him. There's a lot of traffic.
He's a lot closer to Gorton, because I think Gorton also short-filled in his first stop, did he not? So
he did.
It's not too far behind Gorton. So
yeah, Gorton did need to do a longer stop this time. Yeah, very true. Jack Anderek is in. That's one of the... he's overshot his pit box as well. As Sylvie Moraine has come in as well. So all eyes then on the front for Holstein. There they are, the top 3. Holstein.
We've lost Craig Dancy.
We lost Craig a little while ago. We lost him due to the instant limit.
Oh, yes. It's just that he's now disconnected. That's what threw me off there.
What's going on down there? Oh, Saradov coming through the pit lane. That's what's going on down here. That's Nick Domino. I think he's still our RAM leader. He is indeed. By 8 seconds over Michael Moriani. He is in the Raptor BMW. Pro-Am lead is, at the moment, is Martin Nadelig in 9th position. And who has been through the pits? Alexander Godefroy has not been through the pits again, so he's not likely to stay where he is. Jake Sanders has, and Jake is about 5 seconds-ish, 5-6 seconds behind Nadelig. So newcomer in the Comrade-coloured Ferrari could well take the class win in the Ferrari. Nicely done, but again, now Ross Woodford's going to have to keep an eye on his rear mirror more than attacking Holstein, because Marinsky is getting close.
Indeed, I do believe that did Martin not win the Pro-Am category last time out in Imola as well?
I will double check. He may well have done,
because that could be 2 on the trot. I mean, he's very much profited from the disconnect of John Halliwell, because those were the 2 that were fighting for the win in this class. But
very true.
Sometimes, well, to be first you must finish after all, and I think that Martin is going to have to be the one that profits from that saying the most here.
And the answer is, it was indeed Nadelig that won the class last time around from Conde Creek and Morris. So, Isaac Morris is down in 18th overall at the moment. He's on 18 incident points. Oh, have we lost? No, we haven't lost Florian Densler. That's again issues for me. Oh, Marinsky is within a second of Ross Woodford now. 3 minutes to go here at the Nürburgring. It's going to be 3 laps-ish at best. So no more than. And Marinsky is looking to keep the pressure on Woodford. Holstein doing what he can, working his way through the traffic. That is Jerzy Voracek that has been passed. He's in 28th. He's rather minding his own business as they continue to pile on the laps. Talvar and Pinsker are still joined at the hip. Talvar has been chasing Pinsker all race long and remains doing so.
I don't think Tapper can afford any more incidents in this race, to be honest.
Yeah, very true.
Quite some drama, so they might want to just keep it a bit cleaner this time.
Ross and Ina, 18 incident points apiece now. They are really, really closing. Alexander Godefroy, you were 2 minutes from the checkered flag, but he's had to bring his car in. Densler is still going, so could gain a few, but wow, he's going to have to fuel save like a maniac. But I suppose the Ford, if anyone, could actually achieve that.
Indeed, indeed.
Marinsky is getting closer and closer to the back of Ross Woodford, and Ross is getting back to traffic. So this is going to get interesting. 1.5 minutes to go until the checkered flag falls. At the moment, waiting for Holstein, who is only 1.5 seconds ahead of Woodford. But as Woodford successfully navigates around, that was Jerzy Voracek that they've just gone round through the Vidal chicane. This will be... No, this is going to be final lap, I think, as the checkered flag falls in 1 more minute.
Definitely be the final lap of the race.
It is going to be now or never, do or die for our drivers. Does Denzler come in the pits this time? Oh, he's miles away. He's down on the Dunlop chicane.
Holstein managed to pull out 1/10 on Woodford last lap, which keeps the gap at 1.5 seconds. And he also just lapped Stephen Brumfield on the start-finish straight, which means that he will not be held up by the Ferrari, whereas Woodford will not like to see that Ferrari in front of him going through the stadium section.
Especially as Woodford is now on 19 instant points on the nose of Einar Marinsky, chasing the number 1. Whoa! I don't think either Ross was picking up a little bit more slipstream, or he wasn't quite expecting the Ferrari to go over there, because he suddenly had to jump out from behind the Ferrari as they continue to complete the lap. Marinsky, less than 3/10 behind Woodford. Is he going to make a move into... No, he doesn't. He doesn't make the move into the Dunlop turn. Out.
The one redeeming thing for Woodford is that although he is on 19X, he knows that... Well, he probably doesn't know, but Marinsky knows that he can't afford to send it on Woodford because he can't afford the contact either.
I think, have we lost Florian Denzler? No, we haven't lost Florian Denzler. Oh, Ross, that's very wide coming through. Turns 11 and 12 through the Bilstein. Now surely it's going to be the last turn. It can't be anywhere else.
Surely Ross has got to cover the left-hand side.
Einar Marinsky.
The left.
And indeed he does. Marinsky looks to the outside, but no, can't do it. Oh, they've both got to be so careful. Into the final turn. Ross Woodford just plants his car right into the middle of the track. But Marinsky can't do anything about it. Your winner here at the Nürburgring is going to be Christoph Holstein. Ross Woodford barely, by just over 1/10 of a second, seals that second place. Einar Marinsky 3. Andy Gorton has come home in 4th position. Accident there for the Alex Bennett 5. Pinsker has remained ahead of his teammate Renaud Talvar for 6th position. Blairman is going to seal that 8th spot. Oh my goodness me, just about catching my breath. The Pro-Am is going to go again to Martin Nederleek. This time he's been chased home. Well, I say chased home. He's next one down the road is Jake Sanders. There he is. So he's not really been chased home per se, but Martin Nederleek is going to take the Pro-Am win. Jake Sanders 2. And with doing one less stop, I think, than everybody else, is Florian Denzler has managed to limp the Ford home on a 44-lap stint to bring that one home.
That is a very fine job, I must say, to be able to go 2 laps longer on each stint more than everybody else.
It's paid off.
That is some proper well done work right there.
And your AM winner is our graphics man. I'm sorry, Nick, we couldn't use your overlay this time, but we certainly used your skin pack to good use. Nick Domino looks quite happy about that. As he crosses the line, is Michael Moriani is being chased home by Sarah Dove. And so comes over the line to take 2nd place in the AMs. And 3rd is going to be Daniel Lindholt in the Hyperion Ferrari. Holy moly, is anybody still out on track? Nope, that is everybody has now crossed the line. Holy moly, that was all kinds of crazy. I would go through the finishing order in the normal manner, but because I've had so many technical problems, I'm unable to do so. Holy moly, that was some race.
Indeed, I mean, just an incredible battle at the end there. Just closing up right at the last moment to just a full-on lap of sniffing the rear end of Woodford. Going into that final turn, I just thought Woodford's got to make sure that he's on the inside lines. We can't afford to brake too late here, otherwise he'll get the cut back from Einar Marinsky. So I just I'm speechless, to be honest. It was such a good final lap right there.
And speaking of, we have our Pro category race winner in the box waiting to join us. So let's have a chat with Christoph Holstein.
Hello, everyone.
Now, you were happy after last week's race because you were saying Imola was a bit of a bogey track for you. Now, you must be ecstatic after that.
Oh yes. It's been a long time coming. I mean, like, been chasing another win in this league for exactly 2 seasons now. And I never thought really that this would happen in the second race ever in the BMW, but obviously a bit lucky here and there, but I think strategy was a key factor today as well. Traffic was a key factor, and, well, I'm super delighted, to be honest.
I can imagine so, because I was keeping an eye on sort of the pit lane loss and the gap between you and Ross when Ross came out of the pits. And I was thinking, Ross will have this, and then suddenly the gap just plummeted, and you nailed it.
Yeah, it was. I thought when he went for that different strategy, I was like, oh, it's maybe not too bad for him, because he jumped about 5-6 people that I needed to lap in that kind of thing as well. And then at some point, he had a slowdown apparently, and that's what lost him another 2 seconds again. And those were exactly those 1.5-2 seconds I needed in the end. And obviously, as well, we had a lot of company from Einar for the whole race. It's good to see him back.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's a shame that he made that tiny mistake just before the pit stop. This it would have been really, really tight in the pits, because I think he would have saved a bit more fuel than I did. Well, I didn't save any fuel, so yeah, it would have been super, super tight. But I'm super delighted with this win, surprising, to be honest, really surprising.
How much fuel did you have at the end?
I think 1 liter left, so it was fine, because I was thinking about putting 1 liter less in, but then would have needed to save some fuel, and I knew I probably needed to push like hell in the final couple of laps, so rather take that 0.3 of a second more in the pits, I guess. And it was crucial, because if it wouldn't have been less than 0.3, I would have been Ross would have been in the slipstream, and that would have obviously made things way more difficult.
Any questions from you, James?
Just one. So you mentioned the return of Einar Marinsky. I just want to hear from you. What was it like to have him sniffing your gearbox for 39 laps throughout the race? Were you certainly aware that he was there? Did it put you a little bit more on the rear, driving from the rear instead of driving towards Ross, or was your focus throughout the race entirely on trying to get that win?
I think it's always a bit easier when you know who is actually racing behind you, and I know from racing with Einar in previous seasons that he is normally someone who's trying to save a bit of tires and fuel and attack at the end. So I was not really too focused about that he would attack at some point, even though I really, really tried, to maintain the position. That was the aim as long as possible. And at some point, I thought, oh god, he's got the pace on me. I'm probably not going to be able to defend this for long. But this is not an easy track to overtake, so I think that benefited me in the end as well. But it definitely made it a bit more relaxing, considering that I knew it was Einar and not really someone I don't know. Yeah.
Indeed. Well done on the win from me, especially, and good luck in the coming races.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you back on the top spot, Mr. Holstein. Right, who shall we chat to next, James? You have the choice.
Well, we have another class winner in here. We have our livery and overlay man of Nick Domino in, so I think we should probably have a chat to him.
We do indeed have Nick Domino.
Hello.
Well. Have fun out there, did you?
That was a comeback race compared to last week.
Yeah, you so is it going to be feast or famine, die or win for you this season?
I hope not. But I will say for this race, I kind of had some work on a setup just with one of our team members, and that was kind of the first time I really felt good in the car. And on the practice, I just saw that, hey, I can actually follow the top guys in our class. And then I did a bit of a thing with my strategy. So
Awesome.
so that's kind of, and I just had the pace, and kind of avoided all the chaos and crashes.
That you did. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to speed through the interview this time as I am needed elsewhere, but congratulations on the class win, Mr. Domino, and good luck for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, thank you. See you next time.
Let's have a chat with
37 people.
Samadov. Oh, I've interrupted you in the conversation. That's always the aim for us in the commentary box. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Well, you scraped through once again. You seem to have a thing for coming through with 19 instant points.
Yeah, it's the challenge. If you can get 19 instant points every race and not get disqualified, you get extra bonus points.
Is it? I'll have to bear that one in mind.
You get 500 bonus points.
Instant championship title. So how was this race for you?
Not great. I kind of had no pace to begin with, and then spun early on, and then got stuck in a lot of traffic because it was early on. I got overtaken by like 15 people, and so that kind of made me have to push, and then kind of used up more fuel and more tires. If I known at the start and had committed to it at the start, I could have one stop. So I could have only done one stop for fuel, but I didn't know I could do that until it was too late. So.
Oh no. Any questions your side, James?
Just that on the one stop. So were you really able to? Because we only had one person who managed to do the one stop in the end, which wasn't a Ford, of course. But I mean, how close would it have been if you had tried to do the one stop, or would it have been maybe something that was actually quite easy for you?
I'm usually pretty good on fuel. Like I don't use as much as other people. In my first stint, I was pushing 100, like as much as I could all the time. I finished the stint to pit at 40. I think I pitted at 43 minutes left. So if I had fuel saved for that entire stint, I could have easily made it to past halfway and then pitted and then done it again.
Indeed.
Well,
I had to fight back from 18th in class, I think, to try and make something. So
that's a long slog in a track that is difficult to overtake. That's quite a task.
I was helped by some people crashing, but I think I kind of was a bit aggressive at some point, just sticking my nose in there and trying to get.
As is often the way, but good luck for the remainder of the season, and we look forward to seeing you next time around.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah Dove. We'll do one more, I think. James, who should we have?
Should we have our P4 in the Pro-Am category, the Porsche driver of Alex Schmidt?
Alex Schmidt.
Hello.
Hello to you. How was that race for you?
Yeah, I think it was alright, to be fair. Qualifying went really well. Yeah, it was really tight, and I got, I think, a fairly alright position in the race as well, so.
As good as that. So a lot of people were kind of really cutting it fine with the incident limit. How were you managing the incident points?
I had 13.
Plenty in hand.
Yeah, I mean, it's plenty, but I mean, still, I can use them, and when I use them normally, I had like only 2 X's in one lap, and then it was for a long period nothing anymore in terms of getting off tracks, and then yeah, it was fine.
Excellent stuff. Any questions to your side, James?
I just want to ask, so you are our lead Porsche driver from today. I just wanted to know, around Nürburgring and in this 80-minute race, sort of how the Porsche felt over this race, because it's not a very popular car this season, and it I know it probably will have some tracks that's benefited later in the season, but I just wanted to sort of get your opinion on how Nürburgring felt in it.
Yeah, so I was not sure about the track time today, and my setup today heavily depended on what was the track temp. I could have either gone for a really fast setup or for a more conservative setup. I decided to go for the conservative one, even though we had lower track temps. But yeah, I made a few changes just before the race, and I think they paid out quite big. Yeah, track is really hard on the tires, I have to say, but I think I've managed that fairly well.
Okay,
Awesome
indeed.
stuff.
Well done, P4. And good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, cheers, appreciate it.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you very much, Alex Smith. That is going to be it for this evening. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream. And once again, apologies for the technical troubles. We appreciate you joining us for the ride. Thank you very much, James Clay, for keeping me on the straight and narrow. Once again, really needed you alongside me. Very, very much appreciated, sir.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for our drivers putting on a great show, as always. And thank you very much to our sponsors. So without you guys, AOR would not continue to grow. We'll be back with the GTE League next week, same time, same place. But there's plenty of things going on in between then and now, so check back with us for that as well. Thank you very much, and good night!